my Pink Floyd albums ranked from worst to best video. I'm ranking 14 studio albums. In last place, I have Momentary Lapse of Reason. This album just, it's always pretty much been my least favorite Floyd album. I don't really like the 80s sound of it. And I mean, it's pretty much just Dave Gilmour, and not that I have a problem with him, but I don't know. I haven't listened to his solo albums, but I hope they're better than this. And I think my biggest problem with this album, because I do like the new version of it a little bit better, kind of gets rid of some of the production stuff. You have like some Nick Mason drums on there and stuff, so it sounds a little bit more like Pink Floyd-like. And that one I do like better than this version, but it would still rank probably last for me because it just doesn't have that many good songs on it. Most of the songs are just pretty boring. Like, I don't think there's anything. I don't know. I guess Dogs of War is pretty bad. So there is some just like outright bad stuff on there, but yeah, I don't know. It's got some good stuff, but not very much. So in last. Next, I have Endless River. This one I know a lot of people would put last. I could see that. It's not really anything special. But at the same time, I would probably listen to this before I would listen to Momentary Lapse of Reason, so Endless River. Next I have the Ummagumma studio album. This one I actually kind of like. I can definitely see people not liking it. It does have a lot of kind of like nonsense stuff, really, like several species of small furry animals. That song is kind of just really noises and not a song, but I do think it has some interesting stuff on it. I like parts of Wright's Sisyphus. I like Grantchester Meadows. I like parts of The Narrow Way. I actually like the Grand Vizier's Garden Party all the way through. I like the bits with the flute and I don't know, the drum, just all the weird stuff going on with it. It just entertains me. Not an album that I'm gonna put on a whole lot, but I've definitely listened to this. Like, I don't know. I used to listen to it a lot writing papers and stuff. It was good like background music for that, I found. So yeah, really low on my list, but actually an album that I still like quite a bit. Next is Division Bell. This one I think has a lot more good songs on it than Momentary Lapse of Reason. I think it sounds better than Momentary Lapse of Reason, and I don't know, it's definitely one that I don't listen to a whole lot. I'd probably actually listen to the Ummagumma album more than this, but I think that this one, since I haven't listened to it much and I've kind of discovered I liked it more than I thought I did, I think it's going to be one I listen to more going forward. Still pretty low though, because they have a lot of albums. Next I have More. This was kind of hard to place for me, and I almost wanted, like this and the next one, I wasn't really sure about. I could kind of see myself growing to like this more than the album that's coming next. This was the last Pink Floyd album I got, so for a while I was just kind of, I don't know, really underwhelmed with it when I listened to it the first time. But the more I listen to it, the more I've come to appreciate it and enjoy this one quite a bit too. Alright, so next I have Adam Heartmother. This one, I like all of it except for Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. That I think's boring. But the Adam Heartmother song, I like most of that. I mean, there are parts of it that are kind of like that, but as a whole, I think it's a really entertaining listen. And even though it's like 20 minutes or so, I never get bored with it when I listen to it. And I like the rest of the album. I mean, this is not something that I put on a whole lot. I kind of have to be in the mood for it, and they definitely have better albums, which is why it's down kind of low, but I still think this is a really good album. Next I have Saucer Full of Secrets. This is another one that I feel like could almost be higher for me and might switch with one of the like two above it someday. I listened to this a lot when I got it, and that was a long time ago. Recently I haven't listened to it that much. It kind of has, well, all Pink Floyd really kind of fell out of rotation with me for a while because I just listened to it so much. But yeah, I don't know, pretty solid album. I like every song on here. I just think that the Saucer Full of Secrets, the title track, was done better live, so the version on here is kind of not that good in comparison to the live version on the studio, or I mean, live Amagama. But yeah, pretty good album still. Next I have Metal. This one kind of low compared to, I guess, for some other people would have it probably. Another album where I really like pretty much all of it. Seamus I've never been like a huge fan of, but the rest of it I think it's a really solid album. But I don't know, it just I don't know, it's just like not quite. Next I have Obscured by Clouds, album that I put on a lot and think it's kind of underrated. Next I have The Final Cut, one that I think a lot of people would have a lot lower. And I don't know, I've always really liked this album. So next four albums are kind of the big four Floyd albums, and they could really kind of go anywhere, or could kind of like change positions any time of the week for me, I feel like, really. But I put The Wall next. Not really sure why, honestly. I think this one, since it's a double album, since it's so long, I kind of put it on a little bit less than some of the others. Next, I have Dark Side of the Moon. I almost put The Wall ahead of this, but I figure, I guess, since this is more of a band effort, I put it kind of ahead of that. This probably comes in where it does just because I've listened to it so much. And it's not that I'm tired of it, it's just that, like, I don't really need to hear it again. Like, it's kind of just in my head. So next I have Wish You Were Here. This one, another great album, and I kind of didn't listen to it for a long time, so I think that's why it's kind of where it's at, because it's one that recently I haven't been listening to as much. And then I have Animals for number 2, and this has been recently pretty consistently my favorite of the Gilmore era Pink Floyd albums. So usually when people ask me what my favorite Pink Floyd album is, I give a really complicated answer, which involves both these albums. So my number 1 is Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And yeah, I don't know, I just, as much as I love the rest of Pink Floyd and everything, I think pretty much all those albums are great. I just really love the Syd Barrett stuff. I think that his, I don't know, his songwriting is just so creative and so kind of unique. And I mean, I think honestly, once you get past the how weird it is and some of the weirder aspects of the psychedelic music, most of his songs are actually really catchy. Like, he just had a really good like pop sensibility and really catchy songs, but they just had this like weird psychedelic edge to them at this point, and then later on another weird edge in his solo career. But yeah, I don't know. My favorite Pink Floyd album by quite a bit is Piper.